The following is a presentation of TFNN. Time to talk about your health. Living a primal lifestyle.
You know, we have Tom from Tampa on the phone. Hey, Tom. Good morning. It's bright and early now, huh?
Hey, Paige. Good.
Hi, Tom.
How you guys doing, Nico?
Doing great.
Good. Hey, your newsletter's outstanding, man. I'm telling you, man, it is outstanding. And so is the Primal. I love that stuff. I'd never be without it. I mean, I've been on it now 3-4 months, man. I mean, it's just, I can't get over how good I feel.
Primal Edge is, people are raving about it. People who are trying it, they know because you can feel it.
Would not be without it.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now your hosts, Nico de Haan and Paige Clarke.
Good morning, I'm Nico de Haan. Welcome to Living a Primal Lifestyle, where we explore a return to a more balanced and natural wild world.
That's right, to recover our natural health and regain our rights and freedoms. Good morning, I'm Paige Clarke.
And it's a beautiful morning in downtown Clearwater, 80 or 71 degrees, going up into the 80s, but we're going to get a little reprieve. We're going to back into cooling
Yeah, we're going to have a
phase.
nice 70s weekend come up.
Yeah, so more normal, which is really nice. And, of course, we love it here in Florida, so if you're up there freezing, it's the time to come down. This is the best time of the year, I think. Spring break's coming. We're just around the corner.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. I talked to some family in Austria yesterday, and it's 15 below.
Did you see the pictures of the Rome Colosseum all covered with snow?
Yeah, I
And-
think pictures are worth 1,000 words.
Yeah, that's the
And
old
it's
saying.
frustrating. I know that I think really when it comes down to climate, we got to understand the climate is changing and there's going to be extremes. But
Definitely.
overall, what we're seeing is a change for a cooler globe that's going to affect our atmosphere and going to affect us. And we like to talk about living a primal lifestyle. And while you're at it, pick up some of our Primal Edge daily nutrition.
That's right.
That's 310 cell-ready ingredients,
Liquid
natural
ingredients.
foods, whole foods, powered by fulvic and humic, nature's miracle molecule, and support our show and get healthy at the same time.
That's for sure. And also pick up our Health Signals newsletter. I have a brand new one here talking about a lot about coffee, but a lot about other things and the EMFs that we're always talking about. And, when we're talking about that global cooling and the global warming thing, it is confusing because one of the things that David Devine and the Oppenheimer Ranch and there's quite a few sites that I follow, Suspicious Observer, they're saying that in Alaska, during those earth cooling moments, Alaska is actually pretty nice. It's much, much warmer in a sense. So
And that might make sense why some people were posting pictures of the warmth over the Arctic.
Yeah.
It can change. You know, we're having a changing pattern, that's
yeah,
for
if
sure.
you see the dunes, I think last week in Sahara Desert had more snow than it's ever had in recorded,
I think
history.
a lot of people are not used to seeing that picture at all. They can't even
That's
imagine
right.
it. Yeah.
And of course Italy was inundated, and Austria, and every place in the UK is getting slammed this week. So it's interesting to follow this, and I think it's also interesting that we should prepare ourselves.
And I was
for
listening
that.
to David Devine on the way in, and it's like he was talking with the interviewer, and he explained that these global cooling the areas, they coincide with the fall of the Chinese dynasties. So they mapped them out, and really a lot of it probably had to do with their inability to feed their people.
Yes.
So, whereas the weather change, folks, might be 2-4 degrees, it's about the fluctuation in the weather and how it impacts global crops. That's why it's important to us.
Yeah.
And how we're going to take care of all these people on this beautiful...
Yeah, and we talk about Adapt 2030, and that's a site on YouTube, and I recommend you take a look at those. One of the last ones he did, I think maybe the second one that I was listening to, he was in Taiwan, and he was going around the countryside in Taiwan, which is very interesting. You never really think about what's going on in Taiwan, but it's a huge, huge place, lots of mountaintops, and I was really surprised how the roads were so cool. I mean, all the roads were paved, not, bumpy and everything, so, and it's very rural, so hardly any people out there. The other thing was very interesting that they have the Chinese, but they also have English. Or Japanese, I guess it is. I don't know if Taiwan is kind of more Japanese, I guess, than it is.
Gosh, you're asking the wrong
Yeah,
person.
maybe it is part of China still. I don't
We'll
know.
have to ask David. He'll get us up to speed.
Yeah,
but
we're not up to
anyways,
speed.
if you're up and at it, give us a call. We'd like to take your questions and your opportunities. You can call us at 877-927 6648.
Yeah, I'd like to talk a little bit about, I found this great article in Time magazine talking about 14 things successful people do on a Sunday nights. And I always go back to the book of Stephen Covey, the important things.
7 Habits of Highly Successful People, right?
Yeah. And I like those kind of books because I like to keep on top of little tricks that you can play on your mind to keep you active and keep you
on task.
And keep you on task and doing things that are important for you, which maybe, you know, like we talk about, you know, preparing for maybe the grand solar minimum. Those would be one of the things always in the back of my mind. Do I have enough food for 3 months, 6 months, maybe a year if something does happen? I think those things are important. But Sunday nights always traditionally has been very special for our family because this was always a family night going back before television. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what our audience demographic is, but if you were around before TV, that was in the early 1950s, we didn't have a TV till 1958.
No, I always had a TV, but sure enough, there was not a TV in every room. There was one TV, and you were lucky if you got to have your nighttime TV on the 3 stations.
Yeah, in Canada, we basically had one station for many years, and when I remember we spent a year in Toronto, and there was like 4 or 5 stations, and a couple of them were from the U.S., so I could see the American Bandstand and Ozzie and Harriet, which we never really got in Canada. So, but family night was always really important, our family Sunday dinner, and it was a time that when I was going to school, my mother always said, "Oh, you got to prepare for school, get ready for school," and stuff like that, which I really was not interested in, and I always had kind of poor studying habits until about middle way through high school when things started getting a little bit more interesting for me. I think I was bored a lot of times. I played the class clown. I fooled around a lot.
Well, that's that whole unschooling movement. And maybe we're not supposed to be in these.
Well, I agree with that.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. I mean, you were probably just being normal, and we. But this is interesting, Nico. But you said this was a 2015 survey said that 76% of people get bummed out on Sunday night.
Yeah, which I don't figure. I guess maybe it's because Monday's around the corner.
Right.
And I know a lot of people have problems on Monday nights. My wife always has a little bit of anxieties on Monday morning. Just getting ready.
Yeah, anticipation of all the things on your to-do list.
Exactly.
So maybe this article is going to give us some tips of how to navigate the Sunday night, enjoy it for more of what it really is, because it can still be a fun day.
Yeah, and that's what we want.
And a productive one. You just have to have the right mindset. And here are some of the 14 things that successful people do to capitalize.
And the number one thing is they spend quality time with their family, friends, and significant others.
And they plan some fun. How about that? They know that their weeks are going to be jammed and they may be unavailable, so they try and find fun things to do, and so that they can spend time with their loved ones. And you know, if you plan your time, you're going to make time for it.
Yeah, and this was brought out from a book that was called The Wall Street Professional Survival Guide. A guy named Roy Cohen, he was the author of this, and he says, you know, successful people always make the best of their Sunday nights to get themselves ready for the week, and they pretty much spend time with their loved ones on Sunday night, and that's the fond memories that I have always with my parents, and now, of course, with my wife. And it's a beautiful thing. So please stick around, folks. We got a lot more of this, and we got a couple of subjects that may surprise you too at the end. So stick around. We'll be right back. You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Will the S&P 500 continue to climb? For bold trades on U.S. large-cap stocks in either direction, trade SPXL, SPUU, or SPXS. Directions Daily S&P 500 Bull and Bear Leveraged ETFs. Direction Leveraged ETFs. An investor should carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risks, charges, and expenses before investing. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a fund's prospectus and summary prospectus, call 866-476-7523 or visit directioninvestments.com. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Nico and Paige take your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
And welcome back to the show. So we're talking about things that you can do on Sunday night, and one of the things is successful people plan something fun, like you said. The idea is probably the most important tip. This author, Laura Vandenkam, writes in her book, what most successful people do on the weekend is the most important thing.
Yeah, it says that if you plan something fun, it kind of takes the focus off of your harried week coming up.
That's true. I remember playing games like Monopoly and all those little board games.
I like this idea. Make Sunday night a spa night. And that can be a lot of fun. You know, sit around and do your nails and give yourself a face mask or something like that. Another thing people do is they like to get out and exercise. Use that day to de-stress, reconnect with the environment, move that body. And I think that, you know, whether it's taking a walk or playing a game of tennis or, you know, getting into the gym, all of these things really help set the tone.
Yeah, that's for sure. Another thing that people do is organize and plan the weekend ahead. And the picture didn't come up here, but it's a nice picture of somebody on their computer, just like we are. I think organizing yourself, this is certainly something that I do. I take a look at my week and see what I've got planned to do, and then maybe expand it a little bit, notify people that I know that you know, are a little tardy on things. So I definitely want to organize my week, but I don't just look at it as work. I also want to plan out my week in fun, too. I think that's a nice strategy.
I think that's a great point. Don't just look at all those tedious things you have.
Right, because those are the stressors.
Those are the stressors. Find little spots in that calendar where you can plug in the play.
Yeah.
Plug and play, plug and play.
And that reminds me, because on Thursday we have a special guest, Bruce Pulver, who was a guest on our show a couple of weeks ago, and he's going to be actually in the studio. He's in Tampa right now, and we're going to meet him probably Wednesday evening, have some dinner with Bruce, which will be great.
And we'll continue the conversation, as you recall, his great book and his great story behind writing his book, Above the Chatter, Our Words Matter. So
yeah,
y'all tune in.
It'll be
Bruce
a real positive
awesome.
show for sure. So, yeah, getting yourself organized and not just concentrating on the things that you need to do, but plug in some things. If you want to go for a little exercise or a jog or something like that, you can plug that in. I think those are good things to do. And also maybe plan what you're going to do next Sunday to relax.
Right, so you can give your family some notice.
Yeah.
Maybe set a tradition.
Yeah.
Maybe having a family, everyone bring something, and and maybe meet at a park or something. Get out of the kitchen, and so it's all throwaway. And so let's go on. So speaking of meeting together, many people, they eat something healthy. They cook. They cook for the week.
The exercise, which you mentioned earlier.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think I covered that, though.
Yeah. I think one of the things is some of the new things are interesting, that you can make yourself relax a little bit. So like a yoga class that you may not be taking, these are good to do. Go to the beach here, meditation.
Yeah, go watch a sunset.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be something really physical that you go out and bust yourself. It's something that to make you relax. So that evening walk that my parents always did, that always comes to mind here. The next thing on the list is eating something healthy.
Yeah, a lot of people use Sunday night as a meal planning day.
Yes.
They'll often plan out their meals and go ahead and cook things or prep the food to make their life easier during the week. It may be a chance to put a bone broth on and let it simmer, or, as I said, just be more organized for the week by what you eat so you make better choices.
There's a show that we watch pretty regularly called Blue Bloods, and on the end of the show is the scene where they have Sunday dinner together, and it's the whole extended family, so they have a big long table, and they kind of sum up the episode, but they also talk about, you know, things that are important in their lives, and that's a nice tradition, and I think that's why that show like Blue Bloods really connects with people, because of that particular part of it. And they really, I think they just did that once, and they said, boy, we should just keep this in the show.
Yeah,
because I think that's how important it is.
And I think that's a great point. We don't see so many dinner gatherings as we did. I think we've gotten busy, and maybe...
Well, certainly not during the week, because everybody's coming and going at different times. Everybody's got a schedule, and this kind of bothers me a little bit, especially when you give children a schedule and they don't have any space for the fun that they used to have. I don't know if they have recess anymore, but, you know, that was one of the highlights for me in school, was going out to recess and having that hour lunch and, you know, breaking up the day so you could get back into, you know, what you were supposed to do. But eating healthy, for me, is something that I think about every single day. But I think when they say eating something healthy here, they mean more or less get the family together and let's really plan this meal.
That's right.
And make it important to them.
Another thing they do, successful people, is they read. They take some time to pull out a great book. And we find that many people who are very successful in life take the time to read nightly before bed. That does a lot of things. It kind of calms the mind. Even though you're active in your book, is a lot different than being attached to these devices.
Yes.
And I'm really working on that, because I think it's been very easy for us to view these devices as something we're just constantly attached to, but nothing like pulling up a great book.
Yeah, and that's something that I'm not sure even the millennials do at all. I'm wondering where the book reading is going.
And you know what? I sent a box to my son. You know, he's living out in Tahoe. So I sent him a box with some different food stuff, and then I had written a chapter for this holistic book in the area, and I just threw the book in there. You know, and I said, hey, you know, every once in a while it's a good idea to read a book, because each one of them is a little different chapter. And so, but I'm aware of that. I'm not so sure so many of these young kids are diving into books the way that we once did, because we didn't have all these toys.
Yeah, and I have a real good influence in my life, that my wife Ellen, she reads every single evening before going to bed. And she's, boy, an avid reader. She goes through books like...
Does she like to read fiction or nonfiction, or self-help, or mostly fiction?
Mostly fiction, fantasy type, sci-fi type, witches and dragons and things like that. This is the thing that separates her from the hustle and bustle of everyday life.
Yeah.
And that's certainly you need to do. I'm exactly the opposite. When I read, I'm reading technical stuff, I'm reading research, and once in a while I do like to read the other types of books, but mostly I'm digging in information that I want to live by.
Yeah, a lot of this.
Well, the show has a lot to do with that, but I always had that trend, even beforehand.
Me too, but I love that feeling you get when you're reading a book. And do you remember I'm forgetting what it is, the vampire series that everybody was reading, mostly the young kids.
Oh, my wife would know that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But, oh, you're talking about the Dawn? The Breaking Dawn and
all
the
of those.
Eclipse and all.
Those that they had the movies. I mean,
Right.
I got into those, and it was like anything else. Couldn't wait to get home so you could crack the
like
book
the
open.
Harry Potter and
Right.
Star Wars.
Yeah,
all
my
those
my,
things,
my
sure.
I will say my daughter has read all the Harry Potter books. Has the whole collection.
Yeah, and I read when I was young, the Hardy Boys and Tom Swift. Those were the ones I went to too. So, and I read a lot of comics. I loved comics when I was a kid too.
So as we mentioned, they read and they unplug. So the idea is unplug from these electronic devices, find real books. Don't check your email every day, folks. You know, it's almost like before we had our email, we had to go check our snail mail box.
Once a day?
Yeah, exactly. It's enough.
Yeah. I'm wondering why the mail even comes every single day. I guess that's the creed of the post office, but I think they could go down to maybe Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday,
maybe
that type
save
of thing.
some money.
That's just my thought, and eventually I think it'll probably happen. Unplugging is important, folks, and we're going to unplug just for a few seconds here, and we will be right back. So stick around. Please pick up some Primal Edge. Take a look at our Health Signals newsletter also, and pick those things up, and you'll be better off for going into this new year. We'll be right back.
Would like to tell you about the personal training studio that Nico is the owner and president of, Performance Training. Since 1998, Nico has trained individuals and groups to improve their health both mentally and physically. As a certified personal trainer, Nico's main focus is on demonstrating exercises correctly to avoid injury and teaching his clients how to manage their past injuries while getting the most out of their personal training sessions. The Performance Training Studio is filled with unique training equipment that enhances balanced results at a faster rate while minimizing damage and discomfort. For more information, you can give Nico a call at 727-418-8740 or email him at nico@tfnn.com. Let him know you heard him on TFNN and save up to $100 on a special package just for TFNN listeners. Act today.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video, giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com.
Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
It's a special month at TFNN, and with market volatility back, we've decided to hold an open house in our Tiger's Den. For this month only, you can get a full 30 days of Tiger's Den membership without paying anything. The Tiger's Den is our interactive chat room where you can chat with other Tigers and Tigresses along with the TFNN hosts during each of their programs. For all of the details and to start your 30-day free trial to the Tiger's Den today, visit the front page of TFNN.com before this deal is gone.
This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
And welcome back to Living a Primal Lifestyle. I'm taking a peek here at the chat room. A lot of you traders, tigers and tigresses, talking about some of the commodities, the Argentina crop loss. And due to weather rally and Argentina unfolds and so forth, folks, I would imagine a lot of you all might want to really tune in to David Dubine's Adapt 2030, because this is what we're learning. And I was listening to him, not a crop loss, but still a food issue, which is going to affect everything else due to freezing weather in a certain part of the world. 98% of the white shrimp is lost this year. So if you like shrimp, you might want to go buy some, stick it in your freezer. But, you know, it's going to affect all the crops. But anyways, let's get back to what these...
Another thing I want to mention, because my producer is flagging me down here and talk about the chat room. You know, we have a lot of activity in this chat room, and right now we have the free chat room. So it's kind of an open house till the end of the month.
Open house, guys.
So if you want to take advantage of that, see what it's like. A lot of traders in there talking about what is going on in the market. Really important, and I would highly recommend
I enjoy seeing what everyone's talking about. And so get in on the conversation and join the Tiger Den open house while it's available.
So another thing successful people do, they know how to relax, and that is one of the arts. One of the things that seems hard to do, because you get home and you think, okay, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this, and it's always something coming in your mind. Hard to sit down and just relax in this modern society. And
a lot of us hurry, hurry, hurry to get things done, and then we relax. Maybe sometimes we should just relax and enjoy it and deserve it. And then say, after I get my relax in, I'm going to accomplish this.
Or maybe you can relax while doing some of these things and not have your mind, you know, have that list already done. And then you can just go about saying, I'll take care of this one at one time, this at another time.
You know, another thing that successful people do is they volunteer. They give of their time. They make time to be givers, not just takers. They volunteer for good reasons, and it's kind of a nice way to connect with humanity again.
That's for sure. Another thing that, of course, this is in the news all the time now about sleeping, and they plan out their sleep, and of course, if you've got the sleep apps and things like that, we look at those, and I have been looking at that quite a bit. In fact, there's an article in here, which we may get to, talking about sleeping at an angle, about a 5-degree tilt. So your head is a little bit higher. And my wife always did this because she has susceptible to acid reflux. But I found an article with Dr. McCullough that talks about sleeping that way regularly increases your blood flow. It just helps you sleep. So the last 5 nights I've been sleeping at that 5 degrees. I'm all in the 80s and 90s in my sleep app, and I've been sleeping better, so it does seem to work. I always thought flat sleeping was natural because, well, the Earth is kind of flat, isn't it? Where we are, it may be round, but it is flat.
Well, who knows the truth on that one.
Well, just go around the world and we'll find out.
But that's interesting. Yeah, we'll talk about that. And one of the other things people do to really get centered is they reflect on their week. They reflect on their weekend. They take some time to journal or meditate.
And this may be helping you sleep too, because then you're kind of finishing your business and wrapping it up, so then you're not thinking about that while you're trying to get to sleep. So keeping a diary.
I like what this says. It's kind of a catharsis to get it out on paper. Because it's like flushing a toilet. You get it out on paper and you have flushed your system out.
Yeah, and usually people write things in journals that they know nobody else is going to read, or they want it that way, and that's a good way to do it. When I was young, from about the time I was 13 or 14 till I think I was in about 30, I kept a daily journal with all my thoughts, and I go back to reading what I was saying when I was 15, I thought, boy, what a nutball I was at those ages. But I think these things are important, and they kind of structure you in a certain way to be more organized, and I think that's an important thing, organizing your mind.
That's right. How about getting cultured, getting some, looking into your community for places that you can go to learn about something new.
Yeah.
Sundays provide a great opportunity to pursue museums, art shows, craft shows.
Yeah, maybe local musicians playing someplace. I was one of those musicians at one time, so I always appreciated people coming out to see me. But on a Sunday night, that's a nice afternoon. We do have concerts here in the Clearwater area often, Saturday and Sundays. And it's just another thing to do to get together and kind of chill. Seeing artwork, listen to music.
And then one of the things that says here, getting cultured can also mean connecting. Getting a chance to connect and, networking. It doesn't have to be that awkward going to a networking thing where you're handing out your card.
Which I don't enjoy that much.
Right, no. It might actually be a chance to just, reach out to some of your friends and colleagues and see what they've been doing. You might use your social media to reach out, congratulate them on a job change or a job well done.
Yep.
And finally, folks, what do people do on Sunday? They end it on a high note. Maybe a little God, grace, and gratitude. Monday's going to come regardless of how you feel. So it's a great idea to try to think positive and reflect on positive things, and maybe, really think about all the good things that you have and have had so you can have a super week.
And this is kind of like going to church and listening to a nice sermon and saying a little prayer. What my dad always said, well, this is the thing you're thinking. My dad always had this little question in his mind, what's the difference between prayer and thinking? And his conclusion was there was really no, because God's listening all the time. So no matter what you're saying, you don't have to specifically say, hey, God, I'm thinking about this. No, he's always listening. Well, that's
what I've always said. Prayer is asking, meditation is listening. And
what's the one between?
What do you mean?
The space.
Yeah, the space. Yeah, the space. Well, exactly. That's a beautiful.
The true prayer, maybe.
Maybe it's the interchange.
Yeah.
It's the conversation.
It's the non-conversation, actually.
Right, the non-conversation that is actually the sending and receiving of both, really.
Yeah, and this brings me to another article that I was reading. It's called You Need Your Personal Space, and here's the science behind it. And I think this is important. I've always valued my space. I love being alone. I love not having a distraction, and I think it's really important. My wife and I blend really well together. I get up early. She gets up 2 or 3 hours later. I go to bed early. She goes to bed 2 or 3 hours afterwards. So that gives us a nice 3-hour block of where we're alone. And the alone time is an important thing. I love when my parents said, we're going to go out, you want to come? No, thanks. Okay, you can stay home. Great, I want to be alone. I'll play with my marbles or whatever I did when I was a kid. And I always liked being that way, and that's why I always kind of have peace no matter what's going on. I can be by myself, and I think that's an important. Anyway,
I'm a lot the same way. I'm comfortable in my own skin being by myself. I enjoy being with people, love them. But it's great. But what is the term personal space? A lot of people, it's kind of a new term that's being thrown around. Right. But that's an uneasy feeling you get when someone moves too close, is kind of the ancient thought. There really is such a thing as personal space. Well, actually, we know we have an auric field. So when people get too close to your field, you're kind of exchanging energy with them.
And you can see this. You can actually, they've been doing experiments in parks and things like that where you sit close to somebody. You can get a little bit closer and a little bit closer. It might be 2 or 3 feet away, but all of a sudden that other person gets up and moves. And you've done nothing to them. It's just that
they might be reading and never even look up. They just sort of know they need to nudge.
Yeah. Yes. So let's continue this after the break. And,
there's this neuroscientist, Michael Graziano. He has a book called The Space Between Us. The brain computes a buffer zone, whether you recognize it or not. Yeah. Stay tuned, guys. More good stuff.
Be right back. Pick up some Primal Edge while you're at it, folks, and get ready. You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, oil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
No matter what kind of trader you are, 2018 is a great time to try out a subscription to Tom O'Brien's Gold Report. Whether you just plan on diversifying your portfolio with some exposure to gold and gold mining equities, or you're a gold bull that sees 2018 as the year of commodities, now is a great time to sign up for the Gold Report. Tom O'Brien publishes his Gold Report every Monday morning before the market opens and covers a variety of topics including gold, silver, platinum, copper, the XAU and HUI, the dollar, bonds, South African rand, as well as more than 20 of the most actively traded mining equities. Start your 2018 off with a bang and sign up for the Gold Report today. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. For all the details and to start your subscription right now, visit the front page of TFNN.com and you'll find the Gold Report under Investment Newsletters. David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
And welcome back to the show. We're talking about you need your personal space, and here's the science why. It's not just neuroscience either. The psychology or the physiology of studying personal space, or peripersonal space as it is known, tells us there's really such a thing. The brain computes a buffer zone around the body, which is very flexible. It changes in size depending on the content, computed in a manner that's largely unconscious.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So they call this an invisible second skin, as I alluded to.
Kind of your aura, perhaps?
Your electromagnetic field.
Yeah.
Remember, we're electrical beings. We have a toroid field, a torsion field, our heart and our brain. I mean, it extends out actually many, many feet from your body. But this science is explaining the invisible second skin. It's primarily for protection. And it has a huge range of functions,
Exactly.
Nico. It can be as basic as protecting you against an actual physical threat, like maybe a predator.
Right.
It was first studied in the 1950s with animals that had a personal space or flight zone around them, which they used and they computed to protect themselves from predators.
Yeah, you can really see this if you watch some of those animal shows and they come along and have an abused pet of some kind, and you can see that their personal space is really out there. You can't get close to them. They start crouching and things like that because, of course, they've had that abuse. Whether it's just shouting at the animal or maybe being beaten or abused other ways.
I think about that thing.
And it takes years to get this animal back to where, and they may never be normal again. And imagine what it does to human beings, much more sensitive even, I would think.
I just thought about how they said if you were ever encountered a bear, that you're supposed to, make yourself big, probably because the bear has a sense of your auric field.
Sure.
But they say you expand out. You don't cower in. You
That's
expand
right. Well,
out.
the bear stands up, almost like it looks like a Bigfoot.
Right, exactly.
And maybe that's what's really out there, folks. I don't know.
Right, it could be.
But personal space is very, very important, and when it's being abused, in a sense, just getting too close, and of course there's other forms of abuse, but we're not talking about that. But just getting too close is an abuse in itself, in a way. You don't go up to a stranger, get in their face immediately. That's a typical abuse anybody would recognize. But there's also a lot that we probably wouldn't recognize off the bat.
I think this is interesting.
Okay.
It's generally assumed that dominant individuals individuals have a large personal space. And, you know, we're going to talk a little bit about President Kennedy's 30-foot rule and why the present inhabitant of the White House contradicts this theory. That's interesting. But the idea that a dominant individual has the larger personal space is probably a mistake. President Kennedy's 30-foot rule showed up in a book in the 1960s about personal space. This author, Edward Hall, described how President Kennedy was always surrounded by floods of people, but there was always a bubble around him of about 30 feet, and only a very few people were allowed into that bubble.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that. I have to go back and look at pictures.
Yeah, a very well-known thing that he had, for sure, and I think our president has more of the opposite, where, you know, but everybody has their own.
Yeah, very, you know, and then conversely, they say Trump is kind of a grabby and hands-on person, you know, and, you know, when you see him with dignitaries, he's very comfortable reaching out. That's interesting, because I remember hearing someone saying that he was a germphobe, but yeah, it's true. You see him all, you know,
Well, he is a germphobe also, but you can be both. There's no reason why you can't be.
But in any case, there is a field, guys. There really is a field, an electromagnetic field. One of the reasons why we want you to be paying attention to what's going on in our electric universe, in the world of non-native electromagnetic frequencies, how this may impact our health. And we're going to continue to give you great information, including just a little news bit right here. I saw that AT&T announced their first 5G rollout cities.
No,
it's going to be
Tampa's in one of them.
No, well, they could be in the next one, but the first three are Atlanta, Waco, and I think Dallas.
Okay.
Kind of sad.
Yeah.
Put your houses on the market if you live in those cities,
Some
guys.
of the key discoveries about personal space were made using a robot, a ping-pong ball, a monkey. They take us, this Glamour magazine did an explanation of this whole thing. There's all kinds of different ways. He says, we were detectives trying to figure out what makes each neuron sing. What event is being detected? We stumbled into a roundabout in an accidental way onto the neurons that respond to when object looms towards your body or touches the skin. And they were quite specific. One neuron might be specific to the left side of your face, another one to your right forearm. If you block the monkey's vision, the neuron would respond when you touch the skin lightly. If you touch its hair, the neuron would go crazy and kick back at a rate of 200 spikes like a machine gun. So they were doing all of these things with ping pong balls moving around the animals, and when an object would move near the monkey's face, the neuron fired at a high rate, telling the monkey there's something here. So they actually got the science behind this, that the neurons were actually telling you what was close and what was not, even objects that weren't alive. You could tell, but imagine how much more electricity there would be.
Well, the HeartMath Institute has some really good studies, Nico. You can watch the videos that they've done where they realize that people think the brain, you know, we're talking, again, this is focusing on the brain, but that they showed people pictures of, you know, real calming things, and then they showed people horrific pictures. And way before the brain reacts, the heart reacts.
Wow.
So the heart field is actually the more intuitive electromagnetic field, much more powerful than the electromagnetic field of our brain, folks. And, you know, we focus a lot on the neural in the brain, but really, if you Google that, the HeartMath research, there's actually a great video showing how they were able to determine that our heart is aware. We feel things in our heart. Even the global consciousness of 9/11, they saw that the change in electromagnetic field because of the heart consciousness. So
one of the most practical uses of peri-personal space is that we wrap or extend the defense margin of our safety from our radar system and extends to objects that are sticking out with our hands. So in other words, if something is in somebody's hand, our brain perceives it even if we may not see it. If you're using a fork to put your food into your mouth, you need a sense of space around that fork so you don't hit or stab things. He says this is probably crucial for the evolution of tool use. Humans evolved the elaborate stone tool use. Other animals also have a personal adaptable space. You can train a monkey to use a tool and show neurally that the personal space mechanism stretches around that tool.
Yeah, I think finally in closing, folks, you know, we keep hearing things like, I need my personal space, don't invade my personal space. These are phrases, are we in danger of becoming too obsessed with the idea of personal space? And this author says, he or she thinks it's the complete opposite, and here's why. The mechanism of personal space and the deep discomfort of having that invaded has been around since we were human, but today we increasingly live in cyberspace, which has no physical or personal dimensions to it. And this may be one of the reasons why we have increasing difficulties with social interactions. So in closing, it's much, it seems so much easier online when you're not in or near someone's personal space to fire off insults or to be incredibly undiplomatic or destructive. And you see that in social media where we're having these fights, I call them the divide and conquer, where people are being so insulting, using crude language to insult the other for having a different point of view.
Yeah, and I don't get involved in that at all. That's ridiculous stuff.
Okay.
Good point.
Yeah.
We'll be right back, folks. Stick around.
You don't buy into that nonsense, do you? You know you can't time the markets. I didn't. And in 2006, I set out on a mission to do just that. I began by surrounding myself with the greats like Tom O'Brien, Larry Pesavento, David White, and Basil Chapman. I read countless books and even looked to the moon and planets for answers. Now, we both know that trading is 80% mental. So I learned the exact tools that Tony Robbins uses to overcome fear. I'm Steve Rhodes, author of Mastering Probability. And last March, the folks at Timers Digest began tracking my newsletter signals, which through January 18, 2018, placed me as the #1 gold timer for that exact time frame. Now, I can't officially be recognized until Timers Digest has a full year of signals, but clearly I've learned how to time the markets, and I'd like to teach you how to do that as well. Subscribers to Mastering Probability gain access to my live and archive workshops where I show you the exact same patterns that earned me this #1 ranking. If you're looking for great market calls and an education, sign up for Mastering Probability today at TFNN.com.
Hi folks, Tom O'Brien here. If you'd like to get my daily newsletter, Market Insights, then now is a great time to sign up for a 30-day free trial. Every morning by 9:30, I send out my morning letter to subscribers with market commentary on a variety of markets, currencies, and commodities to keep investors up to date on the day's trading action. Included in Market Insights are specific buy and sell recommendations for stocks, ETFs, and even options, with stops and price targets included for every trade in my newsletter. If you'd like to try my newsletter risk-free for 30 days, then head over to the front page of TFNN and you'll find Market Insights under Trading Newsletters. I use my years of trading experience to bisect and dissect the market every morning and give my subscribers the most important information they need to know for the day ahead. I even issue afternoon updates for my subscribers whenever warranted with important market action. I'm always scouring the market for the next great trading opportunity. Sign up for your 30-day free trial to my daily newsletter, Market Insights, today by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Wow! Go get 'em, folks.
No matter where you're listening to TFNN programming, you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones, iPads, and Android devices, located in the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV, but if you don't have a connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit TFNN.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and call-in talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com, educating investors.
And welcome back to the show. So I was listening to a podcast on Sunday evening. And,
relaxing.
Yeah, relaxing, yeah.
Being smart, getting organized.
Getting that red light, yeah. And it was talking about the placebo effect. But they were talking about it from an evolutionary standpoint. Now, we know it's pretty much known that the placebo effect works. I mean, there's enough studies done that most drugs don't go over that threshold, and therefore they're, what the heck is going on here? But our ancient ancestors certainly knew about the
placebo effect.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is like what we were saying on the break. Our ancestors knew it, but I mean, people always knew that healing is a psycho-spiritual
Yes. Yes.
It involves the mind.
Yes, it does.
And involves the spirit and intention and belief.
Yeah. So there's certain rituals that our ancestors did, and these are the ancient medicine man type of things. But also, there's things that I recall through my life when something happens to me negatively, whether it's just an emotional thing or something physical. There are certain traditions that I go through to set myself up to succeed because it happened before and I did this and it helped. So it's kind of the placebo effect for my own personal space type of thing that we were talking about. So are there also always things like this available to us? And I think the answer is yes.
Well, I think this is kind of interesting. So we're talking about the weird power of the placebo effect. And over the last several years, doctors have noticed kind of a mystifying trend that fewer and fewer new pain drugs were getting through double-blind placebo control trials because, you know, these are the gold standard for testing a drug's effectiveness. And in these trials, neither the doctors nor the patients know who is on the active drug and who is taking an inert pill. At the end of the trial, the two groups are compared. Okay? And if those who actually took the drug report significantly greater improvements than those on placebo, then it's worth prescribing. And they've started looking at this more closely at pain drug clinical trials, and they found that an average of 27% of patients in 1996 reported pain reduction from a new drug compared to a placebo. But in 2013, it was 9%, so it's dropping, see? And what this has shown is that what this shows was not that the drugs were getting worse, but that the placebo response is growing bigger over time. Well, I say that that's always been a part of healing.
I agree.
The belief.
That's right.
And we can't take the belief out.
The trust in your healer, the trust in the medicine man, the trust in your doctor, the old-time doctor that used to come around.
Here, John, take this pill.
That's right.
Is it the pill that makes John better, or is it because the person of authority, the doctor, says, take this and you'll be better?
Or is it somebody that you really like to see and they're comforting you, and that's just enough?
I have to interject. There's something that happens all the time. As you all know, most colds are viral. And an antibacterial agent or antibiotic is really not going to do anything about that viral cold infection. However, if you were to develop a secondary infection on top, then it would be effective, you know. However, there are so many people that I know, based on the time frame of something, have had a viral and they go, oh, I just got tired of it, so I went to the doctor and got a Z-Pack and I'm all better. And it's, again, it's that placebo. They think that the Z-Pack is going to be the answer, and most likely because they waited so long, it just went through the natural course of events.
That may be too, and it may be that just having somebody there to comfort you is enough for your body to be in touch with that healing property of the companion that you have or that specialist that is brought in. And I think this is the future of medicine in a sense. We're kind of going backwards here. The future of medicine is all these great things with stem cells and the telomere lengthening that they're talking about. Did you hear about, and this just popped in, well, let me go after the break then. I guess we're after the show.
Well, the placebo effect is the most interesting phenomenon in all of science. It's all that precise interface of biology and psychology. The future of healing. Bruce Lipton.
Time flies when you're having fun. That's
right.
it, folks. Thanks a lot for sticking around.
Believe you're going to have a great day.
Yes, indeed. Bye. Good job.
Since 1984, Basil Chapman has been using the Chapman Wave methodology to advise traders of his expert market opinion. While originally hand-drawing charts from the late 1970s into the 1980s, Basil noticed that prices under most circumstances virtually always had a certain number of legs to the upside before declining sharply. Later, Basil found that computer software, which included the standard market technical indicators, enhanced the degree of accuracy in calling price turns as well as market trend calls. Thus was born the Chapman Wave sequence. Using the Chapman Wave methodology along with other indicators, Basil Chapman advises his subscribers of his expert market opinion each market day with his opening call newsletter. Right now, you can get a 2-week free trial to the opening call, Basil's daily trading newsletter, by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Cancel at any time during that trial and pay absolutely nothing. Get your 2-week free trial to Basil's newsletter, The Opening Call, today by visiting TFNN.com.
You're watching Tiger TV.